Satpute is General Manager in Quality Control Department of Serum Institute of India, Pune Limited. And it is one of the leading company in the world for the vaccine production. All of you know it. He is MSc in Microbiology of Shivaji University, Kolhapur. Passed out in 1992 from Yashwantrao Chavan College of Science, Karad. Actually, he started his career as a microbiologist in Emcure Pharmaceuticals Company Limited, Pune. But later on, he shifted to Serum Institute. As on today, he has an experience of about 28 years in biological and pharmaceutical industries. Although Mr. Kirti Kumar is working in the industry, he has a lot of academic attachment. And as a part of it, he is a former member of Board of Studies in Life Sciences of North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. He is present member of Board of Studies in Microbiology of Shivaji University, Kolhapur. Besides this, he is working as a faculty person at Central Drugs Standard Control Organization and giving training to the drug inspectors as well as to the drug commissioners on regular basis. He also is a member of committee for drafting the guidelines on environmental monitoring of clean rooms in vaccine manufacturing facilities that is constituted by World Health Organization. He also has been participated as an industry expert in WHO workshop on environmental monitoring, clinical evaluation and variations organized by WHO at Thailand. He also has been worked as a resource person in number of national and international conferences. He has participated in more than 50 national and international conferences. He is a guest lecturer at various colleges in Maharashtra. Also, he has guided more than 30 students for their research project. So, we have got such eminent personality for this webinar, and I once again welcome him and request him to deliver his speech. So, Kirti Kumar, please start your lecture.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gajanan Mali, for a good introduction of mine, and thank you very much for the Kadegaon Kanya Mahavidyalaya, who is giving me an opportunity to share the industry expectations, what industry wants, and how students should be prepared for that. So I'll just start my presentations. I will just share my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Now the screen is there.
Yes, it is visible. You can start.
Okay. Happy start today to everybody. Happy start of the day. Let's see those graduates. As you all aware that now the pharma industry is the biggest industry in India, and it is leading and which is having a very high scope and very high bright future. And you know the very well the good story, that is the hydroxychloroquine, which is recently happened, and the entire world is knowing what has happened and how many countries are expecting that India should export this drug to them. The big giants in the world, they were also expecting that India should provide this drug. This is a one example, hydroxychloroquine. There are so many things which India is supplying and India is contributing to the world for the health. So there is a huge requirement and exposure to the students, the upcoming aspiring students who want to have a best career in the pharma industry. But simultaneously, there is some gap which I can say between the academics and the actual work which is done in the pharma industry. There is a huge gap what is taught in the academics, because academics is having a different platform to launch the students. They have the students which are going to the pharma, which are going to the dairy, which are going to the research, which are going to the academics and various fields they are going. So they have a vast field or the vast syllabus. But the pharma requirement, it is very peculiar or particular. So if students know what is exactly required in the pharma industry, and if they prepare themselves in that way, that will help them. So let's start this journey, I can say. Let's see what are the advantages of India. Okay. Now, as I said, India is having a huge advantage in the pharma industry. India is the third largest pharmaceutical industry in the world by volume. 1/3 of the medicines, generic as well as biologicals, are supplied from the India to the entire globe. The Indian pharmaceutical industry has contributed significantly to global healthcare by ensuring high quality, affordable and accessible medicines around the world. India remains an attractive destination for generic R&D and manufacturing of pharmaceutical owing to its strong capability across the value chain. There are over 10,500 manufacturing units and 3,000 pharma companies in India. Over 60,000 generic brands exist across the 60 therapeutic categories. India accounts for 20% of global export in generics by volume, making it largest provider of the generic medicines. So you can see there is a huge requirement. India exports almost 60% of vaccines globally. Now, earlier the thinking was that India is a pharma hub, that is a pharmaceutical product. There are typically pharmaceutical products and vaccines are different from the pharmaceutical products. And everybody was thinking that India is the pharma hub, but now it is emerging that India is going to be a vaccine hub of the globe. It can supply vaccines to many countries. This constitutes 40 to 70% supplied to satisfy World Health Organization demand for DTP group of vaccine, BCG vaccine, and 90% of the global demand for the measles vaccine is supplied from India. Serum Institute, as you know, is the largest vaccine manufacturing company in the world in terms of number of doses. Statistically, it is calculated and said that every 2 child out of the 3 child of the world's population is vaccinated by either vaccine of the serum. That's the capacity of the Serum Institute. India supplies affordable and low-cost category generic drugs to millions of people around the globe and operates more than 250 regulated market-approved plants. It has active pharmaceutical ingredients and it is forecasted to attain a revenue of 6 billion by the end of 2020. What is the advantage of India? Cost efficiency. If you see the India, then there is a very low cost production and R&D boost efficiency in Indian pharma companies. The skilled manpower which is present in the India is very economical. That's why they produce a very cost efficient drugs. Economic drives high economic growth along with the increasing penetration of health insurance to push expenditure on the healthcare and medicine in India. Policy supports Government of India Pharma Vision 2020 aims to make the India a global leader in the end-to-end drug manufacturing. Ayushman Bharat, which is now declared, in which the pharma sector is going to benefit more. Increasing investments. So there are a lot of foreign investments, R&Ds, and a lot of even government is also supporting for the R&D and new drugs developments. So there is a lot of going on for the India in the pharmaceutical industry. Let's see who are the big players in the pharmaceutical industry and biological industry. Of course, in the biological and vaccine manufacturing, Serum Institute is the biggest name in the world now. Bharat Serum Institute, Biocon, in the biologicals, Panacea Biotech, Shanta Biotechnics, these are also good companies who are doing a good business and good opportunities. In the pharma sector, there are many Eli Lilly, Millipore, BD, Sartorius, Aventis, Agilent, Syngenta. So many companies are there. India as a vaccine hub. Indian firms estimated to supply 90% of global demand of the measles vaccine in the near future. Serum Institute is the world's largest manufacturing company. Indian Immunological operates the world's second largest plant for veterinary vaccines and is also the world's largest manufacturer of the vaccine against FMD, that is the foot and mouth disease. Now let's see, we have seen what are the opportunities and what is the market available for the students, aspiring student. Let's see, if a student is thinking about his career, his or her career, then what are the options available to them? There are three main career paths for a student. When a student is graduating and post-graduating, he can start in the industry as a trainee, and of course, depending on his or her skill, they can aspire the higher positions, manager, director, VP, and they can start their own company, CEO also. For the research, scientist or others, director or other positions, they can take in the government institutes, and an educator, lecturer, tenured professors in academics, they can have the good career opportunities also. Let's focus out of this, what are the opportunities available in the industry and what are the expectations and requirements of industry. So for industry, the main functions of work are manufacturing. The manufacturing plant, in the manufacturing plant, students can start there as a traineeship and they can start their career on the shop floor. There is another wing that is the research and development, drug discovery, design, drug delivery, drug action, pharmacokinetics of metabolism, drug analysis and quality control. This is also a good area for the working, quality assurance. Now, there is a separate wing which is operating and taking care of the assurance of the quality, and of course, marketing. In academic, college, universities, and autonomous government institute, in government, they can apply through various government exams for the Food and Drug Administration, and they can become the drug inspectors. Other opportunities, that is consultation. Of course, for that, they should accumulate a good career. They should have a good knowledge, training sessions, retail pharmacy, jobs in supporting industries like excipient manufacturing and packaging manufacturing. Other opportunities, or the global opportunities, same which is mentioned in the above. Jobs. Now, this is a hot topic for the students. How to find the job? It's not Steve Jobs. It's a job for them. What is the ideal job? Everybody is having a dream of the ideal job. What is the ideal job? For the ideal job, three things are very important. The first thing, you should have the appropriate skill. You should have learned the skills in the job in which you are going to work. That skill you should have. So skill is the most important thing. Second is the interest. Everybody should have the interest in their job. If they are not having interest and they are just doing job for the sake of doing, then it is not the job. That is not the ideal job. It should be a skill and interest. And of course, there should be a satisfaction as well as you should get the monetary benefit. That is the rewards you get or the salary you get. So when all three combines together, then it becomes an ideal job. Skill, interest, and satisfaction of the work, and as well as you should earn a good amount of money for your future. That is the ideal job. Now, finding the job. For the finding a job, what is most important and what is required? Apart from the basic knowledge, you should have the networking. You should have the networking with your past alumni students, your teachers, your guides, and the alumni meet. Go to the seminars both on campus or at the neighboring campuses. Just don't attend the seminars for the sake of attending the seminars. or just to get a certificate from that seminar. Try to network with the peoples which are coming from the different areas, different sectors, and try to interact with them. Try to learn something. Brush up on communication skill and teamwork skill. Now, having a good academic marks or good score, that is not enough. To excel in the any workplace, you should have a good communication which is oral as well as written communication. You should communicate properly. That is very, very important. If something is asked and you are answering something different, that's a very bad communication. That is going to be a problem. So you need to have a communication skill as well as you should have a skill to work in a team. Help others to their projects. This will enhance you getting the knowledge from the others' projects also. Keep yourself informed with the new biotechnology innovations and what is currently happening in the world of biotechnology and pharma. Complete various training courses which are available in your career path. Develop work habits that are systematic, precise, and patient. Everybody should develop a habit to work very patiently, systematically, and to the point, precise. The work which is allocated, that has to be completed in a proper way or proper condition. That is very important. And that habit has to be developed. If it is not developed, then it will be a mess. So you have to develop these skills. Acquire a background in the computer science. Now the days are gone when they say that the people who can read and understand are the literate. No. Now the people who can operate computers properly, they are literate. They are computer literate. That's why in our day-to-day life, computer is an essential part. That's why computer skill, and you should know all the techniques and all the computer work to be done. Search LinkedIn in specific companies, talk to sales representative, apply for a job online, career fairs, go and meet to the recruiters, build your network. This is very, very important. Again, I am saying, you should not keep yourself in a small pot and think that that pot is an ocean for you. No, there are other opportunities. You have to find the other opportunities. You have to jump from your pot and see what are the other opportunities and what other people are doing and what best you can do. That's why there should be a networking. A good networking will help you to find out the jobs. Why networking is so effective? Someone that you know refers you to a job opportunity. If someone doesn't know, then how you will be referenced? The more people you know, the greater chances of being contacted or finding out a job opportunity. Now, come to the very, very crucial topic, that is the resume. How to stand out? Do you know that when the interview is going on and the person who is taking the interview, how much time he is having to read your biodata or your resume? What do you think? The person who is a general manager or a director level person, and there are 10 or 50 students who are waiting outside his cabin to be called for the interview, and he's having bunch of resumes. How much time he can spend on each resume? And from that, how much he can select or shortlist the candidates and call them for the interview? It's not more than merely 10 minutes. So I will say, prepare the resume for 5 seconds only. Your resume should not be more than 1.5 page or 2 page. If it is like an essay of 3, 4, 5 pages, it will directly go into the dustbin. Nobody has that much time to read that. And what should be the content of the resume? That is also matters. It should reflect your personality. Don't copy paste. Very, very important. I have seen many resumes where they have done the copy paste. They just take out something from the other's resume, copy it and paste it in their resume. That doesn't reflect you. That is something somebody else. They write many times that I want to do this, that I have ability, special abilities, like dealing with the some problems and resolving the problem solving ability. And when I ask that person, can you explain with the some problem which you have solved? He doesn't know. Then he is having the teamwork. He has written blah blah blah, a lot of things. That is just a copy paste. That doesn't help you. You should reflect your personality. Resume is about what you can do for the company. That is very important, because company is hiring for you for the work. So it should be what you can do for the company. In many of the resumes I've seen, people write their hobbies: listening to music, dance, trekking, playing cricket. Now, do you think that company is going to pay for going for a trekking, dance, or listening to music? No. Company is going to hire you for the company's work. So your hobbies doesn't matter to them. What skills you have and what skills will be beneficial to the company, that is important to the company. What additional technical knowledge you have, that is important to the company, not your hobbies. Align skills with the position specs. Highlight and show how you fit the position. Your resume should tell you that how you are fit among the 50 candidates which are sitting outside. You are the fit person for that position. That should be highlighted. Add keywords or your achievements in the resume. So it should be short and sweet, and it should reflect your personality, and it should tell when a resume is read by the person, it should recognize him that yes, this candidate is going to be helpful for the organization. Now let's go to the industrial expectations. What are the what industry is expecting from the students? In general, workforce, knowledgeable, skillful, sincere, updated, communicative, understanding this industrial language. That is what is industry expecting. Let's see one by one. In the specific, the skills, knowledge, analytical abilities, and adjustment to the industrial conditions and technical abilities. In the skills, what is required? There should be a good communication skill. You should be a good orator. You should be able to communicate to your boss in a proper way. You should report what you have done in a proper way. If your boss is asking something and you are replying something else, then it will drag you to a different position. So that's why communication skill is very, very, very important. The question asked has to be answered in that way only. What is our tendency? When a question is asked, we answer something else and we start blah, blah, blah or something else. And then the person next to you will pick up something from that and he will ask the questions, and it goes on in a different way. You should be vocal. You should be talkative. Your communication skill, verbal and writing, when you are writing a report, it should be an appropriate way and language. It should be written and it should communicate to the boss. Yes, you have done this work. This is the findings and this is the result. Language, you should have a good command on the English language, because nowadays English is going to be a global language. Documentation, you should have good documentation habit, proper documentation, neat and clean documentation, writing legible, that readable writing. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to understand what is written. Computer application, facing meetings and audits. You should have the stage daring for facing meetings and audits, and you should explain. You should have that ability to explain what you are doing. Knowledge of the present status of the industry, of the basic requirement of the industry, of the rules and regulatory issues. US FDA, different pharmacopoeias, Japanese pharmacopoeia, Indian pharmacopoeia, Drug and Cosmetic Acts, ISO, licenses, audits. You should at least have some brief idea about it. I'm not saying at the student level you should know everything in detail, but at least you should know what it is and what is the application of it. That's it. If you know that much, then it's okay. Knowledge of manufacturing areas, what are the different classifications and how the rooms are classified and maintained. Ancillary areas, what are their classification, how it is mentioned. HVAC, that is the heating, ventilation and air conditioning, or clean room concept, design, application. What are the different clean room grades and what is the application of each grade? That is the grade A, grade B, grade C and grade D. These are the different grades as per the European Pharmacopoeia. So what is the purpose and what are the different activities are carried out? What is the highest clean area, how it is maintained, and where the sterile product is going to be exposed? What should be the condition, room condition, and how it is going to be maintained or how it is going to be monitored? That is, you should know that. Validation and documentation of the HVAC, how these rooms are validated and how the documentation is carried out. Environmental microbiology, you have built a good clean room, but you should know what is the microorganism present in that area. So how the environmental monitoring is carried out, water treatment, in what water the pharmaceutical products are prepared and how the water is prepared from a potable water to that quality of water. What are the different stages of water purification and what are the microbial counts which are controlled and monitored for the water. Validation of the water system, bioburden of water and raw material, how to do the testing of bioburden of any given raw material, how you are going to do it. There are different techniques and methods. You should know the basic techniques. Sampling procedure, how you should do the sampling without contaminating inadvertently, or during the sampling procedure, you should not contaminate sample itself. So that should not happen. That should not happen. So you know. So you should know the sampling procedures, correct sampling procedures. Microbiological testings. Theoretically, in the colleges, you know a lot of microbiological testing, and some microbiological testings you've done as a part of the practicals. But you should know what are the principles or basics of each and every microbiological test. During the interviews, I found that many of the students, they lack the basic knowledge, the basic principle. Whenever you do a practical, do you try to understand what is the aim of the practical, why that practical has to be done, what is the principle of the practical, and do you try to correlate the conclusion of the practical, whether that conclusion of the practical matches with the aim of the practical? Have you ever tested or have you ever understood that? So that is very important. You should know the all basic things. Again, I am saying, please, and please, students, try to improve your basic knowledge. In recent past, say about 10 to 15 years, I have seen that the basic knowledge of the student has gone down, and every day now it is a down. Now it is very difficult for us to find a good candidate which is having a good basic knowledge. That's the lacking. If you don't know the basic knowledge, I'll give just one example for the basic knowledge. If I ask any student one simple thing, can you tell me about the gram staining? He will go on blah, 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 blah. And at the end, when I ask what is the concentration of crystal violet, he doesn't know the answer. If I ask the lady, if I give you a gram staining powder, will you be able to do the gram staining? She doesn't have any answer for that. So you should know. You get a ready-made solution of the gram stains. That's why you don't know what is the concentration and how the gram stains are prepared. The grams iodine which is used, it has two components. How many students know that? What are the two components? You just know it's a grams iodine. That's all. So you should know the basics. Basics are very, very important. Now, knowledge, contaminants, sterilization need, methods. how the contaminants can happen in any pharmaceutical product, and how what is the need of the sterilization, and what are the different methods of the sterilization: dry heat sterilization, moist heat sterilization, ETO sterilization, calibration and validation, sterilization by filtration, filtration validation, pharmaceutical defined dosage form, automation in the production and testing, rapid microbiological methods, good manufacturing practices, in-process quality control. These are the different terms I'm just listing out. You can take out one by one term. And now the students, they are in the very advanced stage. They have the internet. In our days, there was no internet available. Google was available. Our Google was our teachers only. So you can find out all this information and read it. You can refer the books also for the different sterilization methods. And what is the concept of sterilization? What is the basics of the sterilization method? And try to understand what is the principle of it, and how this sterilization method can be challenged. If I ask any student about the organisms which are used for the different sterilization processes, they doesn't know the different names of the organization. What is the smallest organism used for the sterilization of filtration method validation? They doesn't know. So these basic things should be known. Documentation, proper documentation you should have, site master file, manufacturing records like batch manufacturing record, analytical records, that is analytical worksheet, distribution of the record, deviation and reporting, OOS, OOT, out of specification, out of trend, APQR, annual product quality review, RCA, that is the root cause analysis. These are the different terms, but at least you should know what this term is and how it has to be dealt. Analytical abilities like raw material analysis, chemical analysis, reagent preparations, dilutions. Dilutions is the biggest problem. Very few students know how to prepare a dilution series. Even they doesn't know the difference between the serial dilution and discrete dilution. If I give a sample of some concentration, and if I ask them to make a dilution for a different concentration, and that should be fitted in a particular volume, then it becomes very difficult for them to do the calculations for the dilution. Reagent preparation, how the reagents are prepared. If I give the crystal violet powder, how you're going to prepare the grams crystal violet solution. So reagent preparation is very important. Water and chemical and microbiological analysis, pyrogen and endotoxin testing. What are the different tests applied for the endotoxin test, compliances and non-compliances, statistical analysis. Statistical is also going to be part of the analysis. Adjustment to the industrial conditions. This is also a very, very important thing. Now, students, when they are in the college, they are not having that much, I can say, moderation to work, or they have the liberty. They enjoy their college days. And enjoyment in college days is different than the working in any industry. Go to in any industry, there should be a lot of things in the industry which makes you or which compels you to work in a proper way or proper situation. Sincerity is the utmost important thing in any pharmaceutical industry. Candidates should be very, very, very sincere and honest. Please note that everybody working in any pharma industry, I tell to all my candidates who are working with me in the microbiology department or in the quality control, or to anybody, that we are working in a vaccine manufacturing company, and we should be very sincere and honest to our job. This is because who are our patients? Our patients are small babies. The small babies today, they are somebody else's babies, but tomorrow that may be ours or our relatives' babies. So we should be careful. And the babies are so small, they even can't tell you what is going wrong with them, after injecting the vaccine? They can't tell you. A grown-up person can tell you what is happening to his body, where it is paining exactly, but babies can't tell. So that's why we should be very, very careful in the manufacturing, in testing. There should not be any mistakes happen during the manufacturing activity or testing activity or entire production. We should be quality conscious. You should be very sincere and honest. And if anything goes wrong, if any mistake happens, because we are human beings, that is bound to happen. We should not hide it. We should be honest and we should tell to our superiors that, see, I was doing this testing and this step has to be done like this, but I missed this thing and it has happened like this. Let the senior person assess the situation and what is the impact going to be on. Let them decide. There are different reporting formats and they can report it to the quality assurance. Then quality assurance will have the review committee. They will decide what is going to be impact, whether that testing need to be redone or it is scrapped, new testing has to be done, or a part of the testing has to be done. Whatever it may be, that will be done. But don't hide it. If you hide that, you will give a false result. And management, it comes to know that you are prone to the falsification, you will be thrown out of the company. That's why sincerity and honesty is very, very important. If you go through the USFDA's 483, which is given against the Indian manufacturing companies, pharma manufacturing companies, you will see that majority of the 483s are for the falsification of the results, data. That is called as data integrity. And data integrity is never tolerated in the pharma industry. If anything happens, just report. Reporting and punctuality. You should report to your work proper time and you should be very, very punctual. It's not like college days, going to college at any time or leaving or bunking the lectures. No, you should come in the timely manner. You should go in the timely manner. Clarity and frankness. Whatever you do, whatever you talk, whatever you write, it should be clear and it should be frank. You should have a habit to follow the standard operating procedure and standard testing procedure. You should understand what is the SOP concept and what is the STP concept, standard operating procedure and standard testing procedure. You have to follow step by step. It's like practical instructions only, but it will be in a detailed format. And you have to follow each and every step one by one in a proper way. Deviation and violations. If anything is deviated from the step by step given in the SOP, if you do something different, that is called as deviation or violation. For the deviation, there should be a deviation form. You should report that deviation. You have made some different steps that has to be done. Maintenance of plant, machinery, systems and equipment, computer systems, personal hygiene. It's very, very important. Technical abilities like calibration of equipment. You should know how to calibrate the equipment. You should know at least simple calibration equipment. The balance which is used in the college, does ever it is calibrated? Have you put the standard weight on the balance and see whether it is showing the correctly or not? If it is not showing correct weight, then all the weighings which is done, which will lead to the wrong results. And especially for the vitamin assay or antibiotic assay, a very small error in milligrams or micrograms will lead to the erroneous results. That's why calibration of equipment, pH meter, if pH meter is not calibrated properly, the equipment is very important. Validation and calibration protocols, basic microbiological techniques. Basic microbiological techniques. Again, I am coming to the same things. You should know the basic. Your basic should be very strong, very strong. You should have the basic microbiological techniques and basic concepts. Whatever do in the colleges, you should understand what is the science behind it. Because in many things, you're going to be asked only the basic microbiological questions only. because company wants a good skilled hand working in their lab. That is very, very important. And if you don't know the basic techniques, then it will be very difficult, because company is not going to teach you again. You are a 5-year learned person in microbiology and still expect that I have to teach you how to do the gram staining. Then it is a wastage of your 5 years. So you should know the basic techniques. What is the basic concepts, best microbiological practices? You should adopt this. You can go to the internet and see what are the best microbiological practices while doing the practicals. How you can do the practicals in a best microbiological practices without contaminating anything, or disposing after your work also. Sampling procedures, water sampling, water analysis, air sampling techniques, environmental and clean room monitoring, sterilization processes. What are the different sterilization procedures and how to control and monitor the sterilization procedures? Contamination control. How you are going to control the contamination in a given area? What are the different ways and techniques for the contamination control? There is one way is that the filtered air is poured into the air area, that is through the HEPA filter. So it will dilute whatever contamination present in that. So that will dilute or reduce the contamination which is present in the air. What about the contamination which is sitting on the surfaces? How you are going to control? That control is going to be done by adhering to the strict disinfectant procedures. Now, if I ask anybody, what are the different disinfectants? They hardly know any disinfectant, and they know only one name, that is the Dettol. And have you observed that Dettol, which is used in many hospitals, do they prepare it in proper concentration? If it is not prepared in the proper concentration, does it going to have the effect? So you should know you should understand how to prepare the disinfectant with its proper use concentration, and what is its contact time. How much time that disinfectant should come into the contact with the microorganism to kill them. So how it has to be applied in any area to reduce the microbial contamination. If you want to reduce the contamination from the air, how it is going to be done? It will be a different technique. You cannot mop the air. For that, the fogging has to be done. And for the surfaces, it has to be done with the mopper or cleaners or wipes. So which disinfectants can be used for the contamination control? And there are a variety of disinfectants. Some are bactericidal, some are virucidal, some are sporicidal. There are different categories of the disinfectants. You should know all these things. How you can control. If I ask you to control a contamination in a given room, you should start immediately. What are your different techniques and ways? Microscopy is a very, very important topic, because the entire microbiology is based on the microscopy only. But if I ask a simple question to any student, that what is the total magnification when you see a gram staining slide, then there are various answers which I receive. Various. You can't imagine also. Somebody says it is 110. Somebody says it is 10,000. Somebody says it is 450. There are so many permutations and combinations. But hardly any student gives this answer. What is the exact magnification when you see a gram stained slide under the microscope? Even students don't know the different parts of the microscope also, because microscopy is taught in the first year of BSc. And when they pass out in the MSc, they just forgot what is taught in the first year BSc. But that is what, if you don't know how to operate the microscope, if you don't know how to control the condenser, or if you don't know what is the use of the different types of mirrors fitted in the microscope, and if you don't know what is the rack and pinion mechanism, then how you are going to handle the microscope? So microscopy is very important. Technical abilities, drafting forms, protocols, biosafety levels, Various biosafety levels are there: BSL 1, BSL 2, BSL 3, and BSL 4. What are the different biosafety levels, and in which biosafety level which activity has to be performed? And for that biosafety level, what is the prerequisite or requirement with respect to the containment practices? What are the requirement? What is the classification of the room? What is the persons who are going in that area? What should be their dress code? What should be their equipments? And what should they do with leftover samples or leftover equipments or used things? These are different levels of the biosafety. That biosafety levels you should know. Laboratory safety, basic laboratory safety you should know. What should be done in case of what is happening, and how you should safely work in the laboratory. General rules of safety, emergency procedures, sterility testing, endotoxin testing, use of preservatives in the multi-dose product. Preservatives are used. What are the different types of preservatives? How they are classified, and which preservatives are used for which product? Use of disinfectant. I have talked a lot about the disinfectant in last slide. What are the different class and categories of the disinfectant, and how they are used, and how the disinfectant efficacy is carried out? That is also should be known. Trend analysis of data, disposal after analysis. After completion of our analysis, you should dispose whatever you have done in a proper way. If it is a pathogenic organism, how it is going to be handled or how it is going to be disposed of. If it is a non-pathogenic, or if it is simple dilutions or solutions, if it is non-microbial substances, how you are going to dispose it, and the substances or material which is having the microorganism, how you are going to dispose it, how you are going to decontaminate it, because you have to take care of the environment as well as the other persons who are working in the lab also. They should not get infected with the cultures which you are handling, and in the environment also you should not release this contamination. So disposal techniques has to be followed properly. Now, having said that, what are the expectations? Now you know what is the goal in your life, or goal you want to reach. That's why you should be on the right track. If you're not on the right track, then it will be very difficult for your journey. In the beginning itself, you should know where you want to go, what you want to achieve. Have you ever thought of the short-term aim and long-term aim? What is your short-term aim? Your short-term aim should be clearing your graduation or post-graduation with a good academic career, developing your skill during this tenure. And what should be your long-term aim? Have you thought of where you will see after 5 years? At what position you will be after 5 years? What position you will be after 10 years? What you will be having after 10 years or 15 years? Have you thought of that? If you have not set your goal that yes, after 5 years, I'm going to have this thing. After 10 years, I'm going to have these things. If you're not visualize that, if your goal is not set, then it will be very difficult to start the journey. I will say just one example. If anybody goes to the Pune Swargate bus stand, there are hundreds of buses standing there on the Swargate bus stand. Nowadays, due to the lockdown, it is shortage. But if you don't know where you want to go, then it will be a very confusing situation. You are supposed to go to the Mumbai, and if you catch a bus to the Kolhapur, what will happen? When you reach to the Satara, you will come to know that it is a wrong bus or wrong journey you are doing. That is not your destination. Now, two options you have. Either you have to complete that journey as it is, or get down at Satara, come back to Pune, and again start a journey to Mumbai. So it should not happen like that. You should not waste your precious time. You should have your goal defined, and you should be on the right track. Try to visualize what you want to be in your life. That is very, very important. Once it is decided, yes, I want to go to Mumbai. Once I know this is my goal or this is my target, then I can start thinking on it. What are the options available for going to Mumbai? There are trains, there are bus, there are planes. I can go by car, I can go by motorcycle, I can walk, I can go by bicycle. So many options. So I can choose based on what is the best for me once you know the destination. That's why goal is very important. It should be on the right track. Let's see what are the aims of success. Reach for the core, not for the cover. This is again very important. You should know what is the basic requirement, and it should not be in the glittery world or in the shining world. You should know the basics. Complete all your pending works. You should have the habit to complete all your pending works. If you try to push that work to be done tomorrow, then that tomorrow will never come. You should have a habit to complete the work on that day only. Then it will give you a better working culture or better working habit. Investigate your flaws and discover gold mine of virtue. Try to understand what are your flaws and try to improve into that flaws. And try to improve yourself. Shun the blame game and awaken. Don't try to blame anybody else for something going wrong. Try to understand and wake up. Learn to take up new and planned courageous work. Try to learn something new, planned, and which will be helpful for your work, for your future. Foresee your future possibilities. Always try to visualize what are your future possibilities, what you can do best, that you should think about it always. Aims of success, mantra to boost your enthusiasm, master your mood, focus your goal like a sunflower. Have you seen the sunflower? The sunflower moves in the direction of the sun. The direction of the sunflower in the morning is towards the east, and if you see in the evening, it will be towards the west because it follows the sun. That's why it is called as sunflower. So you should focus your goals and you should run behind the goals. Accumulate and utilize your energy in right proportion. Don't waste your energy for unnecessary things. Try to put all your energy in the right proportion and for the best outcome or best result. Be creative and do every job better than before. You should always do the best, whatever possible for you. You can do better than what you have done yesterday. That will give you a better hand while doing the job. Be good and flexible. Flexible because you should learn something new every time. Look at failures through the eyes of acceptance and understanding. If somebody is telling you your failures, don't blame that person. Accept it and you can improve it. If you don't accept it, you will never improve. Power of thoughts, power of words, power of faith, power of resolution. Live in present. Do a little, but do it today. These are the different mantras. Be sure to enjoy a job. If you are doing what you love, then it's not really a work. That is very, very important. So whatever you do it wholeheartedly. Then it will not tire you because it will give you a satisfaction. So here is the end of the presentations. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Kirti Kumar.
Yes, sir.
Few questions are there from my private chat actually.
Okay.
So students are asking what kind of changes are there at workplace in industries due to this COVID-19?
Yes, this is a very, very good and very relevant question in the current situation.
Hmm.
Now, it's not related only to the pharma industry.
Hmm.
This is going to be applicable to each and every sector or each and every industry. And not only that, each and every offices and every workplace. Because for the COVID-19, we have to protect ourselves. That is the primary important thing. So we have to develop certain work culture or work habit, and we have to follow the social distancing as well as the personal hygienic conditions. So in every area, wherever you work, you should always, when you are in a crowded place or when you are working in a group, you should have the separation of the working area or separation of the working zone. Sometimes you need to alter the timings of the persons so that there should not be any crowd in the offices or in the area. That's why now we are working in a shifts. Somebody starts in the early morning, comes in the early morning, somebody comes in the afternoon and leaves at the late evening, so that at a time there will not be any many persons in the offices, as well as the work desk has to be separated. Person has some physical barrier between their sitting areas while working. They should always wear the nose masks. That is very, very important. Till further dilution of these COVID-19 cases, we have to follow all these practices, and frequently we have to wash our hands and sanitization. These are the different basic precautions that need to be taken.
Okay. Thank you. One more question is there
Yes.
from Ayans. What about abroad jobs? How can we apply? Can you explain this?
They
He's
are the
asking.
same. They are the same. For the abroad jobs also, they can search through the internet what are the possibilities or availabilities, or there are certain recruiters they can approach for the abroad jobs also, and they can work in the abroad also. But every country is having their own rules and regulations for the persons who are working in the area.
Okay.
So like in USA, if you go H1B visa is there. For other countries, there are work permits are there. They allow you to work for certain period of time, and that work permit need to be renewed. And there are very few chances that you will get a citizenship of that country, because every country is having their own rules and regulations that has to be followed. There are certain minimum tests which need to be done, that is the GRE or TOEFL, which is a English language test which is required, and they can apply for the jobs and they can go for it. Like in Indian pharma industry, it is same way. You're going to be in the foreign countries also. But here I would like to caution one thing: those who want to work in the abroad, they are seeing the salary in the dollars only, and they are converting into the rupees. But they forget one thing: they are earning in dollars, so they have to spend in dollars also.
Okay.
They are forgetting the spending part.
Okay. One more question is there, because you are a person from Serum Institute of India Limited, and all of the people know it is a vaccine production producing unit, and they are asking what is the status of COVID vaccine as on today. You are getting my question? Hello? Hello, Kirti?
Yes, are you able to listen me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
what is the status of COVID vaccine?
that is the critical question, and that I was expecting.
Serumचा माणूस म्हणून हा हक्कानं प्रश्न विचारला जातो. You are a person from Serum Institute.
Yes. Now the thing is that we are not supposed to disclose the many things for the COVID-19 vaccine which is going on. But I will tell you one thing is that Serum Institute is working on the multiple candidate vaccines for the COVID-19. And by December, we will get surely 2 to 3 different vaccines which will be efficacious. So we are on very fast track, and we are confident that Serum will have the vaccine. And one thing is sure that since Serum is having the largest vaccine manufacturing capacity, so Serum will lead a role in the vaccine to the global supply for the COVID-19.
Okay,
That's
okay.
it.
So that's enough.
Okay.
Now we will conclude our session, isn't it?
Okay.
So thank you very much for your this very, very informative lecture. You have covered all the points that we were expecting from you.
Yeah. Thank
You
you.
have explained all the things that are required or expected by the pharma industries. And I hope that as per your suggestion, all of our students will improve and prepare for entry into the pharmaceutical industries.
Right, sir.
So once again, thank you for sparing your valuable time on this Sunday.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Okay.